This is Rally Round the Cannon, some thoughts on Princeton's history by somebody who should know better. They call it the crime of '96. Moses Taylor Pyne of the class of 1877 was a huge mover and shaker of the college trustees and one of the architects of the 1896 sesquicentennial, the literal coming out party of the renamed Princeton University. Supposedly his mother, he was giving a new and desperately needed library to the college university to augment and overshadow the tiny Chancellor Green. He wanted it next door, facing Cannon Green, and he was the chair of the Building and Grounds Committee. East College, the older dormitory twin of West College, had to go. The generations of alums who had lived there were not against progress, were proud to have a university, were happy to have Pyne's bucks and a new library. But they still called it the crime of '96. People do not go around tearing down your idyllic youth and escape unscathed. The irony that Pyne himself had lived there with his brother was lost in the anger. They were obliterating their treasured past. The Gothic design of the new library didn't help either, adding a discordant element to the colonial atmosphere of the Green, accented by the Greek temples of Wig and Clio. I mean, who was interested in Gothic? Of course, the answer was Pyne. By the time he died in 1921, more than half the campus was collegiate Gothic. But even then, the destruction of East College was still known as the crime of '96. Thanks to an enthusiasm for renovation and some serious rehab funding, Princeton rarely tears down an on-campus dorm. When it does, the echoes of the crime of '96 seem to rise from the grave of East College. It was 1965 before another one was leveled, and that was only because 95-year-old and badly mislocated Reunion Hall was literally condemned. Of the extremely few remaining sound pieces, only its 14 stars in memory of the war dead remain on the wall of the adjacent West College. Still, a lead letter to the Paw editor in 1965 lambasted the wanton plan causing countless turnings in the grave. Thankfully, however, most observers regarded the resulting open space as an aesthetic step forward. But the crime of '96 was hardly forgotten. Another 40 years passed before the next unavoidable dorm demolition project, and it involved a serious new wrinkle, potentially touchier than even the Pyne Library misadventure. There was no Joe East or Charlie Reunion to resent the demise of their namesakes, but 3 of the dorms in the new quad were given by alums who are very much still around, the classes of 1940, 1941, and 1942. Not to mention 2 trustees who, while they are gone, are large in memory, Donald Lurie and his longtime friend George Love of the class of 1922. Having come here in the middle of a depression and ending up in the World War, the classes of 40, 41, and 42 certainly deserve all the respect you can muster. 89 members of the 3 classes died in military service. The leveling of 1940, 1941, and 1942 halls, which they had generously donated in 1964, obviously didn't qualify. But the new quad had been built fast, ironically in part to replace the crumbled Reunion Hall, and the university was thin on the bucks at the time. In the words of then-President Bob Goheen, super ironically a member of the class of 1940 himself, we did much of it the cheap way. As a result, when it became necessary to rehab the 5 dorms in 2007, they were essentially impossible to bring up to code, and the wreckers moved in instead. Presumably averse to the prospect of the phrase, the crime of '07, the powers that be swung into action, engaging the representatives of 22, 40, 41, and 42 in order to ensure the continuity of dignity and honor even in the absence of strange chocolate brick and odd ironwork. The class time capsules in the cornerstones of each dorm were retrieved before demolition, freshened up, and readied for reinstallation. The new evergreen Butler College dorms for the site were carefully arranged with nice memorial spots, so while the class names no longer adorn buildings down campus, the new Butler College amphitheater contains beautiful flagstones for each class beneath which their time capsules now reside, and the comfy adjacent class of 1942 lounge has display cases of the class's memorabilia. There are also memorial stones to each class in the chapel, a nice connection to a much broader range of past Princeton generosity and service. Of course, the case of Lurie and Love in 1922 is special. They got the new ball rolling by giving Lurie Love Hall in 1964. They got their class to give a dorm too. Later, Cupe Love also gave soccer's Lurie Love Field in the memory of their friendship. Of course, that's now gone as well, replaced by spiffy new Roberts Stadium. So the North Pavilion of the new stadium, where the Tigers soccer championship banners reside, has been renamed the Lurie Love Pavilion to honor the old field. Pointing toward it across Poe Field and running through the center of rebuilt Butler College is the new Lurie Love Walk. Its motto, embossed in the flagstone, is actually apropos of the entire Butler rededication to all the donors of the new quad. Memoria Amicitiae Eorum Sempiterna. Along with many other Princetonians, I spent 2 years in waffle ceiling bliss in the new quad. Of course, I was up campus my senior year, so I don't really think of the Butler transformation as a crime of any sort, albeit that you don't feel any younger when they condemn your freshman dorm, which had been virtually new at the time. But I'm pleased that the classes, and most certainly Lurie and Love, who all pitched in when Bob Goheen called their number in the 60s, those classes have been re-honored and gotten their day in the sun again. The friendships symbolized in their generosity and noted in the inscription are not merely of material benefit to us, their recipients. Their memory is a public good to be cultivated for its own sake, an abstract ideal that's far harder to unearth and display in today's cacophonous world than in the mannered era of the sesquicentennial. Memoria Amicitiae Eorum Sempiterna, in memory of their eternal friendship. The new quad is dead. Long live the new quad. Yours in virtual orange and black, this is Greg Lang of the Great Class of 1970. Rally Round the Cannon is a podcast from the Princeton Alumni Weekly online.